finance, and we heard that IBM is going to start using generative AI in some of their marketing materials. What are some of the areas you think we'll see companies roll out generative AI initially?
Look, I think you're going to find it across many areas, and there's a lot of area and focus on automation. So things that could easily, rules are clear and explainable. You will see that work get replaced. I saw, you mentioned the studies earlier. There was a study. I'm trying to remember. It was Gallup maybe, and it had a piece on CHROs that said, "Gee, 80% of our people, their jobs will be impacted." And if you think of a typical HR organization, one that maybe hasn't progressed as much to advice and is still dealing with a lot of administration, there is probably a lot of function that could be replaced with a generative AI system. But then it should free people up to do what people do best, which is decision making. And it's what you would have preferred your HR professionals to be doing, anyways. So I think you're going to see, yes, there's going to be this first range of automation, this first range of customer service. Look, there are a lot of customer service jobs that are actually very complex, and people want to do a good job. It's not fair. They can't have all that memorized. And so that assistant is going to make them a better job. I go back to where I started. BCG has a great study on this, by the way, about it being, my word, an equalizer to help people do their job better. And I saw this in the very early days with AI, and it mattered how the company brought it into the workforce. If they co-created the new work so that the people trusted the technology, knew how it was trained, changed their workflow with it. My favorite example was a unionized workforce that wholly embraced it. And that's because of the way it was introduced. And like I said, most people want to do a better job at what they do. It allowed them to answer more questions, to be correct, feel good about their work. And that to me is, if you start to introduce it that way, and you'll see it in those simple ways, I think is the way to get started. So you'll see customer service. You'll see, I think, summarization of manuals and the like. And that'll be your starting point. And then just be sure, I know you're going to have Dragos, I think, on from the EU, perhaps, hopefully after me, right? I mean, but the more important the question, right? I think the way you regulate this technology is by how it's used. So in other words, the more consequential its use, then there should be accountability and liability for your actions with it. I'm used to being around banks. They are audited. They need to be able to say what they do, when they lend, there's not discrimination and the like. You're going to have to apply that same kind of thinking with these technologies.